You know, he's just doing hide and seek. Yeah, kwani. Getting ready for that big day on the 21st. Before that, lots of things happening this week, culminating in the Back to Your Village Food Bazaar. Lots of interesting items of Ghanaian cuisine from the north, from the middle, and from the south. In the meantime, the newspaper review is next. Is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. The word together means being united in a common goal, because in unity lies our collective Ghanaian strength. We believe that when people are connected, they agree on what to do and how to do it, and they get more for their labor. So our success at Fidelity is driven by belief that working with you, we can do amazing things. Let's work together and achieve great goals. Fidelity Bank, believe with us. We're also sponsored by Total. The latest addition to our Quartz engine oil family is the Future 9000 0W20, specially conditioned and developed for the new engines. It's called the latest generation engines. Delivers excellent engine protection and cleanliness, increases your oil change interval, and reduces your fuel consumption. Join the Total Quartz Nation movement now. Right, so I have Kojo and Nathan. Nathan is sporting a new Mama Atale to commemorate the Heritage Arts Festival. This is what we call Mama Atale 2.0.
Yeah.
Charlie, what are the colors? Brown, yellow, white, green.
Charlie, it's a mix.
So
my newfound tailor.
Your newfound tailor in some corner somewhere.
Yeah.
Charlie, no, powerful. Forgive our fans.
Yeah.
He's
a big man.
I have a tailor called Ni. Adabraka. He purchased this for me. Yeah, it's a big man.
Everybody needs a
tailor you can go to. Call at 10 p.m.
Charlie,
against an emergency. They are tailors. Yeah. Kojo, how are you?
I'm just enjoying.
No, the shadow the bio is very good, pa. And in fact, we can exhibit it at the art festival as a specimen of good artistry.
We should let Nathan go and stand there for them to draw.
So is it tie and dye, or is it Dumas, or is it Printex?
I think it's print.
Or it's China.
It's wax print.
It's wax print.
Yeah.
Is it Akoto or Japan?
Well, I'll figure out.
If you turn it around, you
Or the right somewhere.
You check.
China, no, but it doesn't have coronavirus.
I'm not sure it can
listen,
be Japan,
globally,
it's not working.
coronavirus is now a global health pandemic. That essentially means that it's everybody's problem now. Let's get into the local headlines.
Well, since we are talking about coronavirus, the Daily Graphic leads with $100 million awaits COVID-19. President states in Nation broadcast. So that came from the Jubilee House yesterday. Ghana increases food exports, accrues 868 million cedis in 5 years. Adeshiman supports graphic at 70. ECG to buy local cables, and Opon Nkrumah named among young global leaders.
Now, the Ghanaian Times, Ghana's preparedness for coronavirus. Government earmarks $100 million to combat COVID-19. This is the president. 5 Wigehe students sweep 2019 WASI Best Performance Awards. Coronavirus update. WHO declares COVID-19 a pandemic. Court finds Assemblyman 1,800 cedis for assaulting police officer. And Adaklu, Jakpo resident held hostage after severe rainstorm.
The Daily Guide says coronavirus closes in. WHO declares pandemic. President directs $100 million for fight. How Auditor General chopped 350,000 cedi get fund cash. Kintampo accident driver was dozing, according to the police. 11 institutions signed anti-corruption MOU, and DCE's house burgled.
Now, the Chronicle, petrol prices to go down by 15%. This is the NPA, and according to the NPA boss, he believes that the next pricing window, from what we've seen, the movement of petroleum product prices are likely to go down within a range of 15% reduction. Fight against coronavirus is for all, President Akufo-Addo, and we will prosecute Hawa Kumsin over 1v1D NDC.
The ABC News says Judgment Day for ex-NCA big men set. Some NDC gurus scheming against Mahama, Alote Jacobs reveals, and the ABC News editorial says coronavirus, President Akufo-Addo's restrictions on appointees timely.
The new crusading guide, Akufo-Addo pumps $100 million for coronavirus preparedness and response plans. Alote Jacobs drops bombshell, reviews plot to undermine JM. GEPA ready for World Trade Conference. and delay in justice delivery affecting fight against corruption. This is the GII.
The Daily Statesman says $100 million to boost coronavirus fight. President directs finance minister to provide money to enhance response plan. Mahama in serious danger. People around him plot 2020 defeat to advance agenda 2024. And 3 giants pursue the giant killer. Will Akwetia MPP rescue Amase? Question on the front page of the Daily Statesman.
Now, the Business Finder, fintechs welcome deadline extension, commit to deeper engagement with the BOG. 1D1F, government commissions noodles factory. $100 million voted for coronavirus preparedness, President Akufo-Addo, and upon Nkrumah made young global leader.
The BNFT says ECG weighs options to clear all debts, promises to source all supplies locally, pay on time. Inflation remains unchanged at 7.8 in February. Use $2 billion energy fund to finance capacity charges and to reduce imports. Banks must support local manufacturers. That's coming from the Exim Bank CEO.
Moving online, citynewsroom.com. NDC seeking cheap political points with 1v1D site visit. This is the Special Development Ministry. Also, 3 stories on the virus. You've already read $100 million provided to enhance our readiness. The president also says that 57 suspected cases in Ghana all test negative. And as well, he says Ghana is well pleased to minimize the economic impact of the virus. Now, Parliament approves a $41 million tax waiver for Metromass and 3 other companies. Meanwhile, group protest disqualification of aspirants in the Kwapim North, and MPP government officials will answer for shoddy 1v1D implementation, according to the NDC. If you go to citybusinessnews.com, stop predicting fuel price movements. COPEC wants NPA, or COPEC urges NPA. Meanwhile, customers of defunct fund managers will be paid after verification, SEC assures. And GIP's role in payment system space must be properly defined. MTN mobile money chief says so. MyJoyOnline.com. Ghana reviews protocols for inbound traffic for coronavirus hit countries, which is now all our 3 neighbors. Meanwhile, government sets aside $100 million, as we already read, and Trump halts travel from Europe to US as part of coronavirus. Other stories: EC lacks candor. Bright Simmons urges media to join fight against new voter system acquisition. If you go to GNA, the lead story is the coronavirus. But there's another interesting one here. Senior minister wants companies to help rehabilitate their utility roads. He wants, private companies. Indeed, he was lamenting the poor state of roads in the Spintex industrial enclave.
Okay.
And I'll probably bring you that story later. But globally, Trump halts travel from Europe to US, except for the United Kingdom. And deaths from or infections of coronavirus globally, guess the figure now, 150,000 cases.
Okay.
150,000 cases globally. And there are so many issues. Indeed, there's a paper that's even saying that could China's mask-making dominance spark a new geopolitical storm? Because according to the South China Morning Post, China is now making more than 100 million masks a day. Up from 20 million before the coronavirus outbreak, and may start to export more to other countries. And there are mask shortages elsewhere, which could now mean that they are relying on China. So we got the virus from China. We're also getting the cure or the temporary relief from China. So let's just summarize the president's assurances on the virus.
Yes, if you go to the front page of the Daily Graphic, Donald Atodapatem from the Jubilee House writes, the government has released $100 million, or about 553 million cedis, to enhance the country's preparedness and response towards the prevention of the coronavirus COVID-19 should it rear its head. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who announced this in a state broadcast yesterday, said the amounts, which would be in the Ghana cedi equivalent, was to finance the expansion of infrastructure, purchase materials, and conduct, and the story continues on page 16, conduct extensive public education. In a live telecast, the president said with the declaration of COVID-19 as a pandemic by the WHO, Ghana must step up its preparedness against the disease.
He also talked about our research institutions, and he says that our country's 2 main research institutions, the Noguchi Memorial Institute in Accra and the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research in Kumasi, which have the capacity to investigate and confirm or otherwise suspected cases of coronavirus, have been very supportive in the regard in our fight against corona. So far, they have found that 57 suspected cases as of Wednesday, 11th March, were all negative. And he's asking civil society organizations, schools, universities, faith-based organizations, and places which harbor large gatherings such as classrooms, lecture halls, meetings, parties, and funerals to put in place mechanisms to caution and assist patrons on basic preventive measures.
Meanwhile, the WHO has declared coronavirus a global pandemic. Now, there are different levels of endemics. When they say it's pan, it means everywhere. So it means that it's a condition. Now, the story says the novel coronavirus outbreak has been labeled as a pandemic by the World Health Organization. WHO said it has been assessing the outbreak around the clock and was concerned with the alarming levels of spread and severity of the disease. We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic. The DG of WHO, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said at a press briefing on Wednesday afternoon. Now, in the past 2 weeks, the number of cases outside China had increased to 13-fold, and the number of affected countries had tripled. There are now more than 118,000 cases as of yesterday. This morning, 125,000 in 114 countries. There are over 200 countries in the world, so about half of the countries in the world have it. And 4,291 people have lost their lives, noted Dr. Ghebreyesus. Now, before the announcement, many public health experts had argued that the world was already experiencing a pandemic because there were over 100,000 cases and now over 3,000 deaths. Now, let me just give you 2 more stories on this, though. This story is an interesting one, that China's mask-making juggernaut cranks into gear, sparking fears of over-reliance on the world's workshop. Now, this story is from Hong Kong. China is now making more than 100 million masks a day, up from 20 million before the coronavirus outbreak, and may start to export more to other countries. Mask shortages elsewhere once more raised the debate about an over-reliance on China, with critics pointing to a lack of US industrial policy, for example. Then in Ghana, yesterday, Umaru Sanda Amadu spoke to the importers, who also said we could start experiencing shortage of goods because the main place they import goods from, China, was suffering the coronavirus. He also said that prices could go up because of the specific issue.
Now, let's go to page 2 of the Chronicle. Parliament approves tax waivers for STC, Metromas, others. The story says Parliament has approved a request for tax waiver of 14.7 million Ghana cedis to Metromas Transit Limited and 25.1 million Ghana cedis for Intercity STC Company Limited and 708,000 Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Regional Reorganization and 841,000 to the Ghana Immigration Service. Presenting the Committee of Finance report on why the waiver should be granted to some of the entities, the chairman of the committee, Dr. Mark Esibe Yeboah, indicated that the MMTL, which is a public transport service provider with moderate fares and operates in many remote and urban areas of the country, has suspended most of its operations due to the lack of buses to sustain its operations. He said the company, at its peak of operation, had a fleet of about 1,300 buses, which created employment for about 4,000 people. However, the company's fleet has been dwindling because the buses have reached the end of their useful lives and broken down. It is therefore necessary to assist the company to acquire more buses to augment its fleet and also consolidate its operation, he said. Bernard, I'm reading this story because earlier this year we spoke about the New Plan Ghana Company Limited.
Yes.
How they were on the verge of collapse because they are not getting any contracts. So if we have agreed that the MMTL needs to buy more buses and augment their fleet,
we import them.
And the states, which is the Republic of Ghana, is giving them a tax waiver of 14.7 million Ghana cedis.
To import the buses.
We should ensure that this tax waiver and the new move ultimately benefits the states.
Imagine if that money had been given to New Plan.
Yes.
You understand? So the old buses are no longer working. I know New Plan and the Tema Steel Works and all these companies can have a way with the metal. They can melt the metal and recycle the metal.
But which other companies were given the tax waiver?
So STC got a tax waiver of 25 million.
To also import?
I'll get the Hansard so that we'll get
I'm
the
sure
full
it's in the
details.
story because
The bus bit, acquiring new buses, this story refers to MMTL. It didn't explicitly mention STC in the story. So I don't want to speak to
Because
it.
we have the story here.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to page 20 of the Daily Graphic, it says ECG to buy local cables.
Okay, I was going to give more details on this story, but
Okay,
you
you
just go
give
on.
that in.
Okay.
No, it's okay. So Immigration Service sought an 841,000 tax waiver on weapons. Ministry of Regional Reorganization sought 708,000 Ghana cedis in waivers for vehicles to be procured for the 6 new regions. Metro Mass Transit Company sought 14 million. Theirs is even the smallest dollars in tax waivers to procure 150 new buses, and STC sought a 25 million tax waiver for procurement of new vehicles. So it's all
Okay.
procurement. So let's go through this again. Immigration Service wants 841,000 cedis. Okay, that's the lowest actually in tax waivers on weapons. Ministry of Regional Reorganization 708,000 cedis.
For vehicles.
Waivers for vehicles to be procured for the 6 new regions, also to be imported. Metro Mass Transit Company, $14 million, cedis, forgive me, cedis, in tax waivers to procure 150 new buses, also to be imported. STC, 25 million cedis for the importation of new vehicles. So it's all importation. Now, Finance Committee Chairman Dr. Isebe Eboa said, considering the enormous benefits of the derived from all the aforementioned, the committee is of the view that the requests are in the right direction. And I think Kojo's question is fair. What are you doing to STC, what do you call it, new plan?
Yeah.
Even if you bring these buses now, you have to have a long-term plan for them.
Well, the Electricity Company of Ghana has resolved to procure all its cables locally to help grow the businesses of indigenous cable manufacturing companies for them to expand and create more jobs for the populace.
Okay.
The ECG has also started the process to raise funds to pay off its indebtedness to cable suppliers and other creditors, most of which are indigenous companies, to enable them expand their operations. Now, this was revealed by the MD of the ECG, Mr. Kwame Ajimambudu, who disclosed this in Tema yesterday, and he was speaking to the media after some board members of the ECG paid a working visit to Tropical Cable and Conductor Limited, TCCL.
Bernard, the thing about this story is that we have Tropical Cables, we have Leroy Cables, we have Nexans Cable Ghana.
All in Ghana.
All in Ghana. And they make some of the highest quality cables in the whole world.
Import now.
And the irony here also is that the ECG is a shareholder in Nexans Cable.
But do they buy?
So why have we not been buying the bulk of our cables from these companies? Well, I'm just using what the man said, that now they are going to buy more local cables. And I know that these companies produce all the different SKUs of cabling we need for this country.
Because the import, procurement,
But and some of these companies are quite capable. See, Mr. Tony Otinjesi, he's MD of TCCL. He said that currently the company had a lot of, quote, idle capacity and would be excited to expand its operations to meet whatever demand that the ECG would require. Now, they employed 150 Ghanaians, about 70% of whom were engineers.
In Ghana, we don't really mind. We import it because Charlie, they don't care. But it should not be government paying lip service. It should be policy.
Yeah.
To prefer local first. Okay, let's go to other stories.
Other stories, center spread of the Ghanaian Times.
Yes.
Nathan, I'll come to you, but this story is of excellence, educational excellence. 5 former Wegehe students sweep 2019 WASI Best Performance Awards.
Wegehe and Echo.
Yes, and the story says 5 former students of Wesley Girls High School yesterday bagged 7 out of 9 awards for best performance in the 2019 West African Senior High School Certificate Exams for school candidates in Ghana.
Okay.
Melissa Abena Ochiwa Amwa, currently studying medicine at the University of Ghana, won the ultimate award in addition to the best candidate in general science. She took home $1,200 and other cash prizes. And later this month, the first Ghanaian headmistress of Wegehe will be launching her book. And that book will tell you why Wegehe is so grounded and why there's that excellence. Maybe if you read that.
Yeah, Nathan has another good one for us.
Let's talk about agricultural excellence. Now, the export of foodstuffs to neighboring countries has soared in the last 5 years, buoyed by the agricultural flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs. That's according to data from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Between 2015 and 2019, 868.13 million cedis was realized from the export of foodstuffs to neighboring countries. The foodstuffs, with a volume of 563,859.33 tons, were exported to Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Benin, and northern Nigeria over the period. And they included banana, cabbage / green pepper, citrus, orange, cowpea, gari, ginger, groundnuts, palm fruits, palm oil, pawpaw, plantain, rice, sorghum, soya beans.
I'm
white
interested
maize.
in the export destinations, the top destination, because
Well,
in the past it was the EU, but I'm happy to see some African countries importing from us.
Yes, if you go through, they've put out some nice graphics here.
Mm-hmm.
At a cursory glance, Burkina Faso gets 92,000 tons of the exports,
That's really good.
followed by
The Ivory Coast, I
Cote
think.
d'Ivoire 14,000, Togo 11,000, Burkina Faso, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire together 7,215, Niger 7,439, and Mali.
This story is
1,000.
a very significant story, even though it's hiding in some corner in the graphic,
It's on
because
page 3. Actually.
African free trade is coming. The idea of a single currency doesn't make sense if you don't do enough trade among yourselves. So with Ghana exporting to neighboring countries and increasing volumes, it makes a lot of sense to take the next step.
For those who get this paper, there are interesting details as to what each country takes from us.
Really?
Yes,
Give me
very,
more.
very interesting details. So it says, now, Burkina Faso topped in the importation of varied foodstuffs, such as rice, pawpaw, palm fruit, sorghum, cowpea, gari, banana, granuts,
Wow.
yellow and
They
white
depend on
maize.
us for almost everything.
Yes, while Cote d'Ivoire followed with yam, maize, cowpea, citrus, and onions.
Kojo said yam were the second largest
Yes.
producer in Africa.
Now, Mali imported only yam and gari. Togo was the third highest importer of mainly agrochemicals,
Okay.
vegetables, white maize, soya bean, and plantain,
Wow.
with Niger placing fourth with imports that was mostly made up of yam.
And don't forget that because a lot of the countries here are landlocked as well,
Yes.
some of them will
Need-
depend on us.
yes.
Now, let me give you some damn controversy. NPP government officials will answer for shoddy 1v1D projects, and the government is also responding that this is just propaganda. So the NDC says a future government will hold the NPP government official accountable for the purported shoddy implementation of the One Village, One Dam project. The communication officer of NDC, Sami Jemfi, made particular mention of the Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Howard Kumsen, during the NDC's Moment of Truth event held at Nakbache in the Yendi constituency on Wednesday. Mr. Jemfi said the government have failed to deliver on its promise of providing every constituency with a dam. But the ministry is responding, and the ministry in the same website, citynewsroom.com, has debunked assertions that dams built under the government 1v1D project are not fit for purpose. It said claims by the opposition NDC that the dams were not properly constructed were only meant to score cheap political points. The director of Special Ministry Communications, Kabori Awudumoro, said the dam cited by the NDC had already been declared uncompleted by the government itself. Let's move on.
Yes. Now, Bernard, I'll take you to page 12 of the Ghanaian Times, Ministry of Roads and Highways, Department of Urban Roads. Since this is the year of roads, we will not let any road thing.
I actually have some good road stories for you.
Yes. Now, there are some roads being advertised for contractors to bid for maintenance and construction. There is upgrading of selected roads at Specialized Junction in Oyarifa, selected roads in Community 22 Tema, Medina New Road area roads, Powerland Medina Phase 2, at Dringano, Adma Basic School area, Asofan New Station. There is Airport Runabout to Brooklyn Estate Road, Asaman Town, Full New Town roads in Etiwa, asphalt overlay on selected roads in Ablekuma Central, rehabilitation of CDH Road, Takrade, upgrading of Bandaman Senior High Technical School roads, and some other roads.
Why are you saying these things to us this
No,
morning? Do you want us to be happy?
No,
Are you
I'm
just
saying this because a lot of times these are advertised, and because the communities don't know that these have been advertised and these are the details,
Okay.
they don't monitor.
So
and I want every community to
so
get the
by
newspapers and
today's
monitor these
Page
things.
Ghanaian
12.
Times, page 12, cut it, paste it in your office,
Yes.
and every day be
And
tracking
if you're
it.
not seeing progress, go to your assembly and ask them. This was advertised on this date. Why are we not seeing?
Speaking of
it?
roads, senior minister saddened by deplorable roads to premises of huge industries at Spintex. This is myjoyonline.com, called from GNA. Mr. Yao Safamafo, the senior minister, has appealed to companies operating on the Spintex industrial enclave to urgently rehabilitate the deplorable road to their operation hubs. So Safamafo said this on Tuesday when he drove on the bumpy Stony Gully Road from the Coca-Cola runabout to the factory of the United Food Industries to commission an Indomie noodle producing factory. He said that this was the first time he had been to that part of Accra, adding that he was amazed at the number of huge industries scattered along the stretch.
Yes.
He, however, added that I was also disappointed to see that with all these huge companies, the road from Crocodile Junction to this place cannot speak well of the corporate image of these companies. Really? May I appeal to all the companies on this road through the one I am commissioning today that please take care of the road. Why don't you give them tax reliefs to use them to do roads if that's a solution? Or why don't you say that the road is what the government provides for the people to provide the services.
Yes.
So we'll see. I'm sure the people in our Ghanaian culture cannot respond to the minister. But the senior minister said it was not enough for companies to say because they pay their taxes, they have to wait for government to construct the roads. Saying an agreement could be reached with the companies. Good. For them to construct the roads and some tax incentives given to them.
Their response to the minister is historical.
No,
We've been
actually,
doing stories from the area where they've told us to tell the government
they are prepared
to fix their roads or come to an agreement with them to do something. And this is not today.
I've actually heard
the
mining companies say this a lot of times. Now, some of the companies located along the 3.5 kilometer road included Coca-Cola Company, Royal Crown Packaging, Healthy Life, The United Foods, Palace Biscuits, Polytank, and Deftraco.
Yes.
So that's an interesting story to end the session. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
That's all we have time for today's